So then, knowledge varies according to the nature of the knowing agent. It is not the case that it is according to the nature of the known object that it is known by everything, but it is known in a superior way by superior agents, and in an inferior way by inferior ones. What is there astonishing, then, in the fact that a god knows everything according to its nature, divided things in an undivided way, multiplied things in a unified way, things that come into being eternally, and partial things universally, and in a word, in a different manner than is the nature of each of the things in question. And along with such knowledge, he has control over the production of all things, and by the very fact of knowing all things with simple and unified knowledge, he bestows upon each their existence and their coming into existence. For indeed, hearing perceives the objects of hearing in one way, and our common perception perceives prior to the individual senses all objects of sense. And above this again, reason perceives in a different way both these things and all other things of which there is not sense perception. For again, we find the faculty of desire striving after one set of things, and the faculty of spiritedness pursuing others, and rational choice directing itself towards others. But there is also one single life principle which moves the soul towards all of these things, by virtue of which we say, I desire, and I am angry, and I make such and such a choice. For that life principle directs itself to these objects along with those faculties mentioned, and it lives with all of them, being a power which directs an impulse towards every object of impulse. And indeed, prior to both these faculties is the unitary principle of the soul, the one of the soul, which often says, for instance, I perceive such, and I am calculating, and I desire such, and I wish such, and which is conscious of all these activities and works along with them. Otherwise, we would not have known all these activities, nor would we be able to say in what they differed, if there were not one single unitary thing in us which knew all these things, and which is over and above the common sense faculty, and prior to opinion, and prior to desire, and prior to will, and which knows all the deliberations of those faculties, and which has gathered together into itself partlessly all their impulses, saying in the case of each, it is I who am doing this, and I who am acting. How then can it be right to disbelieve that the undivided knowledge of God, although it is not sense perceptive, yet knows objects of sense, and although not being divided, yet knows things divided, in a manner proper to itself, and that although it is not spatially present to these things that are in space, yet it knows these also, prior to any spatial presence, and gives to all as much as each of the recipients can take, even though it is transcendently separate from them. This was from Proclus Commentary on Plato's Parmenides, the 4th book, in the translation by Glenn Morrow and John Dillon.